Hello and welcome to my CPC draft recap or draft analysis. I'll be going over my team that I have drafted for Season 5 of the CPC and explaining the choices that I made. You can already see the full team up here at the top, but I mean, I'm fine with that. I'm not interested in keeping it a secret or whatever. So yeah, going into this season of CPC, I just wanted to use a couple mons in Generation 7 and decided to draft around them, basically. Victina was not actually one of them. They were Diggersby, they were Comfy, they were Noivern, and they were Mega Tyranitar. Now, I picked up Victini round 1 because none of those are a round 1 pick, in my personal opinion. And I just didn't feel like getting anything stupid like a Diggersby round 1. We only had 110 points that were available to us as well. So even if I wanted to get something amazing, something like a Mega Lopunny or a Kyurem Black or something, well, not only were some of the ones I was actually looking at taken before it got to me, stuff like Mega Mawile, but they were too expensive for my liking. The most expensive thing I've got is 16 points. This is a draft that goes up to 20 points possible, so it is actually kind of cheap. And Victini, I just felt like it was a worthy round 1 pick. It's a good fire type, it's a good general type. I've used it once before after trading for it with Jolt back in the NPL Season 5. But I very much enjoyed using it, and I believe I'll very much enjoy using it again. Victini is not my Z captain, that is going to be Thunderous, but mainly because I just don't think that the Z moves are that great on Victini. They're not bad, obviously, but when you've got things like V-Create already, that's 180 base power, what base power does V-Create even get to? Like, if we go into here, I swear it maxes out at 200, also 220, so the difference is so minimal, and I feel like Victini is just better. It does get better with Z moves, obviously, because you get things like Z Sunny Day, Z Trick, even things like Z Snatch I think it gets as well, which gives you +2 special attack or something. Does not actually get Snatch, that feels bad, man. Obviously you couldn't use Z Celebrate, otherwise this would have been my Z move user of choice. But V-Create Victini is, not just V-Create Victini, but Victini in general is an excellent wall breaker. It's a good physical or special wall breaker because of the moves it has available to it. It's just an amazing mon in general, and I'm very excited to use it again because I feel like I've evolved as a player since the last time I used it, and I want to show that I can use it better than I did then. So yeah. Moving on, we get Diggersby round 2. This might not make sense to anyone who doesn't really know the CPC, but there's a guy in the CPC called A12, he's a really good battler, and he loves Diggersby, and Diggersby is one of the mons that I actually really wanted to use before the end of Generation 7, so I decided to bite the bullet and just get Diggersby round 2, because I knew it wasn't going back to me round 3. He picks up round 2 Diggersby. Even last season, he picked up round 2 Diggersby and wanted round 3 Latios. And I remember at the time thinking, surely he thinks that's a little bit backwards, but in the league with this, given that I really wanted to use Diggersby, I felt like this was the best time to pick it up. Anyway, as to why I want to use Diggersby, basically it's because of not pickup but huge power. This turns Diggersby into a genuinely amazing wall breaker. It gets things like spikes, it gets things like quick attack, it gets priority, it gets sword stance, it gets bulk up if I ever want to use bulk up for whatever reason instead of sword stance. Hint hint, I won't. Gets things like knockoff, U-turn, this is an ideal scarf mon. Gets a number of really out there moves like Iron Tail as well, is something I personally quite like using. Basically I wanted to use Diggersby this season, and as a result I'm going to use Diggersby this season. It's a fantastic wall breaker, it's a good ground type, it gives me spikes, it gives me a good priority mon, a hard hitting priority mon, and it gives me a good physical wall breaker to go with Victini as well, which is more of a mixed wall breaker and a sweeper. But yeah, that's the round 2 pick. There's not really much more to say on it than that. And next up we get Superior. Now Superior, obviously I am using it currently in the GBA as well. So if you're coming here for originality, kind of just... This is my least original draft, I think, because I've got a bunch of mons that I've used on it before, like Victini, Superior, Thunder T, Keldeo, I've not used any others, I don't think, though, but still. Superior is Leaf Storm and Subseed and Synthesis. It's an amazing grass type, and it was only 12 points, the same points as Diggersby. Meanwhile, you had things like Shaman and Celebi that were 13 or so, and Superior was here at 12 alongside Roserade. And I just feel like for a budget draft, Superior was an amazing choice because it was so cheap and it is so good at what it does. This also gives me a very, very good Zygarde check. And it's just going to be incredible this season, I feel, because the team really does support it quite well, I think. Yeah, so that's why I've gone with Superior. Who knows, I might choose to run Overgrow one week if I decide to go out of my mind, or if we ever have a meme match. But it does get a couple techs like Knockoff and things like that, which are actually okay. I'm never going to bring Swords Dance, don't ever worry about that. But Superior, for what it does for 12 points, was well worth a round to be picked, in my opinion. I'm going to try and fire through this as quick as possible because my video editing software has been a massive bitch lately. So we're only at 5 minutes, so perfect. Let's move on now to Thundurus T. Thundurus T is obviously an amazing Pokemon. Round 4 Thundurus T, especially for my Z move, I didn't expect that at all. I was actually gunning for a Dragonite at the start of this, but I thought I actually really enjoy using Thundurus T, and I want to use it in a different league as well as the ICBA, because I'm not really doing that well in the ICBA, and I want to showcase Thundurus T a bit more. Volt Absorb, obviously meaning I get immunity to 2 different types, both of them really good in electric and ground. Gives me an amazing special attacking wall breaker to go alongside my 2 physically offensive wall breakers with things like V-Create, Victini, and just Diggersby in general. This is my Z mover, as I already said. This is one of my 2 Z movers, the other one is Omastar. But at the time I felt getting an amazing special attacker was just what would be best for my team. In hindsight now, Dragonite probably could have been better for this pick, because it meant that I was 4 or 5 picks in and I hadn't even started my Fairy Dragon Steel Core, and Dragonite would have been amazing on this team as well, as I think you can all just see, but I did want to use Noivern, so I did go with Thundurus T in the end, as opposed to Dragonite. So after Thundurus T, I wanted to finish up my Firewater Grass Core, and I saw that Keldeo was available. Keldeo also ticks off a fighting type on my list, which is something I personally think is very good in the format, just as a wall breaker. This is pretty one-dimensional. It and Superior are both very one-dimensional mons, I know this, whereas Victini is obviously much more versatile, whereas Keldeo and Superior are only really going to be doing one thing, but they both do it so very well that I really wanted to get Keldeo. Gives me, my speed tiers are currently amazing, because I've got everything from 78 to 113 or so, and I've got decent gaps between all of them. So my speed tiers are currently very, very nice for me. Keldeo is a very good fighting type. I'm probably not going to use SD this season, it is a bit of a meme set, but I can if I want to. But just the coverage it gets between Hydro Pump, Secret Sword, Icy Wind, and any hidden power of your choice, it will normally hit everything on the team at least neutrally, if not super effectively. So yeah, that's the idea. That's the idea behind Keldeo. It's, you know what a Keldeo does. You're not, no one watching me is stupid. So yeah, it does have a bit of versatility in terms of it can go Calm Mind or Choiced. But mainly I picked up Keldeo because for the water type, for a Firewater Grass Core Victini Superior Keldeo, my Firewater Grass type cores tend to be a lot worse than my Fairy Dragon Steel cores. This way around, it's definitely the other way around. I think I've got 3 top tier Firewater Grass mons, and my Fairy Dragon Steels are perhaps a little less good. Originally I was going to get Metagross here and then get my water type later, but then Metagross got sniped, so unfortunate, but we'll go with Keldeo because Keldeo is pretty good anyway. Next up, we start on our Fairy Dragon Steel Core of Comfey. Comfey is a Pokemon that I personally really want to use, just because of the fact that it does get priority on its attacking move of Draining Kiss, which for some reason isn't in commonly used moves. I don't know quite why that is. But yeah, Calm Mind, Aromatherapy, Synthesis, Draining Kiss, Leech Seed. It's again, it's fairly one-dimensional, but it's still good in what it does. It also gets a bunch of support moves, things like Toxic, Taunt, U-Turn. You've got things like that. Leech Seed, as I already mentioned, it gets this light screen, although it does not get Reflect for some reason. And yeah, it's just a very, very nice Pokemon to use, and I'm very excited to use it this season, so that's the idea behind the Comfy. I've seen like Matty Brolic and some other people use it quite well, and I want to see how well it can work with me as well. Bulky but with setup options and priority with Draining Kiss is something I quite like quite often, and this will be a pretty big threat against my opponents this season, so looking forward to it. Next up we have got Steelix as our Steel type. This gives me fat, basically. It gives me the physical bulk that I want. It also gives me my first rocker of the draft, which is kind of important. I don't really have a specially defensive Pokemon on the team, although Steelix can fill that role if necessary. But also things like Superior can do it, and Victini can technically do it as well, because it does have the ability to go bulky. But Steelix was just a very good budget pick. It was the best budget steel I could see. I can actually see myself bringing Steelix. It gives me a secondary immunity to electric. It also it is immune to poison, which obviously Comfy and Superior both like a lot. And yeah, it's just a neat Pokemon. Chimpact used it well in GBA, and I'm looking forward to using it here this season. So yeah, next up we get another rocker. This one is much more of an offensive rocker and much more likely to be brought, in my personal opinion. This is my second Z-move user, and that is Omastar. And the reason I made this my second Z-move user was because let's look at these stats. Like 125 base defense, 70 base HP, and 70 base per def. Those are okay. Like its defense in particular is a good stat, and it can set up Shell Smash decently easily with the defense stats, as long as its special defense isn't targeted. But oh wait, I got Mega T-Tar, so it also gets the buff from the sand, so it's actually got really good SPF now as well. So I feel like I can actually set up and potentially win with Omastar on a number of occasions, and for my secondary Z-move user, because obviously Thundurus is my preferred Z-move user, it does get good coverage options. Rock, Water, Ice, and what else? Obviously it does get technically Seismic Toss, but no, I don't think I'm ever going to use Zed's Seismic Toss. But those three types alone are just enough, probably. And normal, I guess. But even so, stuff like a +2 Hydro Vortex coming from Omastar is gonna hurt a lot, because it's not a weak Pokemon. 115 base special attack is not bad at all. This is my setup mon. It also gets weak armor, so it'll be at potentially +4 speed when it sets up. So yeah, looking forward to using this, and this is going to sweep at least once this season, I can guarantee it. I was actually tossing up between this and Kabutops for my for this pot, because I was mainly looking at what rocks and hazards they could bring, and it was just kind of a secondary thought that this one gets to Shell Smash, although that did end up being a factor. But equally, I kind of wanted Kabutops for Rapid Spin, but Kabutops would have been a much worse as a Z-move option, so I did end up choosing Omastar because of that. Next up we have got Noivern. Noivern with normally going to be either Frisk or maybe Infiltrator, probably. It's got good moves like Boom Burst, Hurricane, Draco Meteor. They're decently high powered, and 97 base special attack. That's not a bad special attack stat, that's only slightly less than Victini's. It gets the coverage it wants in terms of Flying, Dragon, Fire, and Boom Burst as well. So yeah, I think that Noivern's going to be pretty fun. I've never used it before. I've never seen it used before as well. Well, I mean, I've seen it used occasionally, but never notably, if that makes sense. As in, off the top of my head, I couldn't remember who the last person I saw Noivern use was, and I kind of want to be using it because I feel like it does have quite a bit of hidden potential. Noivern is one of the Pokemon I was most excited to use when I started getting to draft, and I've just never really gotten around to drafting it, so this time I have actually decided to just bite the bullet and get it instead of Dragonite. So yeah, looking forward to using this. This is one that I've been having my eye on for quite a while. I was considering making this my second Z-move user, but I feel like just the lack of power it has meant that Omastar was just a better choice for that. And finally we have Mega Tyranitar. Now, Mega Tyranitar is a personal favourite of mine. It's, look at those stats, look at how bulky this thing is. 100 base HP, 150 defense, 120 SPDF with a free assault vest whenever it comes in because of Sandstream, Dragon Dance, Rock Polish, Rocks, all the coverage in the world. Like, its only bad stat is speed at 71, and even so, that's not bad, especially when you do have speed boosting moves. Dragon Dance, Rock Polish, as I already mentioned, and look at the coverage. Mega Tyranitar gets coverage for days. I am so excited to use this Pokemon, and I think it will do really genuinely well this season. Looking forward to using it quite a lot. So yeah, if you have any questions on my draft, and let me just check to make sure that I'm not missing anything. Yep, got every mon. If you've got any questions about my draft, please put them in the comments down below, and I will try and answer as many of them as I can. I'll see you all next time. Peace.